So, hi, Maggie. Thank you for being here with me.
My pleasure.
Hmm. So, if you can cast your mind back to the pre-story school days of your life, what
Pre-transformation time.
transformation time? Yes. Do you remember what it was that made you decide to go on that transformational journey?
Well, I encountered you for the first time in the summer before Story School, and I was just really drawn to working with you at that point. I think you just hold such a beautiful space, and I still feel it every time I work with you. It's like something unlocks inside. So I don't know how you do it. It's your magic, clearly. And I felt this, and I thought, I really want to work with Kate, but I was already doing a lot at that time. And I just thought, no, this is the type of thing that if you want to do it, you want to do it when you're in the right moment. So Story School came along for me. And I was felt like, this is it. I just felt this is it. I already knew that I'd clicked with you. And then seeing Story School and what it was going to offer. And I needed it at that point because I was relaunching one of my businesses and launching a second business at the same time, and finding that that voice was the thing that I was looking for. And I realized I can't remember now whether it was actually at one of our first sessions. So I think that it might have been that the connecting piece between the two businesses, I don't know why it took me so long to realize that, was me. I was like, obviously I am the connecting piece, and therefore finding my own authentic voice, for both for me to connect into, each day, in terms of what do I want to deliver through my businesses, as well as in the communications piece to my communities, was so important for
Mhm.
me. And that's when I was like, yes, no. So I came and did Story School with you, and it was a wonderful step.
Mm, wow, amazing. I love that little story of what it took to have you get to that moment knowing, okay, this is right person, right time, right offer, in I go. And you've already spoken about it a bit in terms of realizing you were the
My cat,
connecting piece.
sorry.
And finding your authentic voice. What ways was that showing up for you as a challenge or a block in terms of the easeful growth of those two businesses?
Mm. It was coming up for me in both businesses and in different ways. And it was partially because the two businesses are very different. The audiences that I share with are in some ways very different, and their expectations, certainly, of me and the way that I might be showing up were very different.
Yeah.
So I run a shamanic business, Northern tradition shamanic business. And in that business, I think the challenges for me were that I had, over the years, I've been working in this area for, I think, like 20 years now. I've been an author, I've been an illustrator, I've been a trainer. And some of the experiences that I knew friends had, certainly working in this space, were quite negative sometimes. I think it's something about that self-development arena can sometimes get very insular,
Mm,
and therefore it was very difficult to be vulnerable in that space and to share what I really wanted to share. So I found that I was often sharing information rather than my experience or how I felt about it, or how it had transformed me in any way. So it was, not, I couldn't see me when I looked at my website and I looked at my work. I was like, I can't see me in this. It could
mm,
be, it could have been anybody's. And on the second business, I have worked in universities and higher education for about the same period of time, with a very, very different parallel career, with a very reliable, conscientious, I specialize in areas like quality assurance and service delivery and operational planning and things like that. And I'd certainly left out part of myself, this creative, magical side of myself was slightly edited out of who I was. And I knew that in launching my business as a coach, working with women in that sector, that I actually wanted to help women to connect in with their own magic and their own creativity, because I think that that sector needs that. You know, we
Mm.
talk about the need for creativity and innovation and collaboration in those types of spaces, and yet often it can be very difficult to be creative and innovative when you are overworked and, very sort of regimented in the approach. So I knew that I needed to embody that voice for my clients to help them to realize, to feel that and to resonate with me more strongly. And it was quite early days for that business. So I was like, how can I do this, and how can I overcome some of the obstacles that, were in my way to doing that authentically.
Yes. Yeah. Amazing. And as a result of the work that we did together inside Story School, what was most transformational? So we've heard about this like deeply magical part of you that and the way you're very established in that arena and yet still hiding. And then this place where you're needing to bring like a very rational, logical part
Yeah.
of you, which is missing the magic. So what happened? What was the transformation for you and the way you now turn up?
Well, it's interesting because although I think when people think about voice, or they might think about writing for business, it's often thought about in terms of the written word.
Yeah.
But the biggest transformation for me has been in speaking, and in realizing that my voice is part of my product in some ways, more than I'd realized before. So I
Yeah.
do a lot more work now, um, doing Facebook Lives and going and presenting, doing conferences, running meditation sessions and path workings and sort of in-person events for people. And I think the difference to me is that I no longer have what I used to call like the abyss of fear, is the way that I would describe it. That sense of like that void that stretches out in front of you, and you think, I don't know what I'm going to say. It's going to be wrong. It's going to, all of those. It's just not there anymore.
Mm.
It doesn't mean that I don't get the butterfly flutters, because I think that's quite nice. That excitement, that sort of feeling of anticipation, but it's not the paralyzing, I don't know what I'm doing and I don't know why I'm here anymore. So there are things now where I realize that I can show up and provide value to people through listening to what they have to say and then reflecting that back to them in a way that empowers them and inspires them. And they realize it's actually them empowering and inspiring themselves. It's just that maybe it's sort of an emptying, certainly in my higher education work, and an emptying of all the judgments that they've had about themselves.
Yeah.
Removal of all of those judgment words and things, and that reflecting back and sharing in that way, in a way that I never would have done before. I did a 3-hour workshop last week, and I was invited to come along and support and facilitate. I was like, yes, I will do that. And I didn't actually, the materials weren't shared with me until really close to the workshop, but it didn't faze me, because I was just like, it will be fine. And just being able to listen and respond in that moment is wonderful. And in my shamanic work as well, it's the same. The flow is so much more straightforward. I don't spend like 5 hours planning a half-hour session anymore. I'm just like, I've got a few bullet points, and then I know that the words will come,
Mm.
the right content will come. So I think that's been the biggest transformation for me through the work that we did of listening to my inner voice, writing it, reading it to others, realizing that they didn't go, what's she talking about? And becoming so much more comfortable in that has been huge for me.
Yeah. Wow. I'm really hearing and feeling this deep level of self-trust in
Mm,
there, and trust in life and trust in other people. That's such a huge transformation when we let go of thinking we're responsible for anyone, because we
yeah.
know their truth lies in them.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It's a lifting of a weight that you might have had before, of thinking somehow, yeah, I'm responsible for the way that they receive my words.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to feel bad or question. And sometimes actually, maybe they need to feel a bit uncomfortable. Maybe that's going to be the most the most helpful thing that I can do for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Oh, beautiful, Maggie. And what would you say has been the most valuable part for you?
Oh, that's so difficult to quantify. It really is. Hmm. I think maybe if I think about it as a journey or a flowering, I do feel as if I'm still on the journey. So for me at the moment, the most valuable thing is that ability to be in presence with, one to one or with a group, and keep on opening and keep on allowing the words to flow.
Yeah.
Where I feel I'm going more is the working around the and I would say I still love doing the written side of it, the written side and creating pieces that I would like to perform for others. And I've seen the journey that others who've done story school, that they've taken.
Mm.
It's just wonderful. And from having said that, actually, it reminds me that I have actually done that a little bit more just in the last few weeks. I've been bringing in a little bit of my written content into, sort of talking through maybe a story or responding in the moment, and then I'll just read an excerpt of something that I've prepared before through, the work that we did in Story School, and following on from that and using that more. So I think that's my current nugget that I'm working on, following on from Story School.
It feels like you're now really resourced, like you can trust the moment, trust the power of your voice, kind of pull out a really relevant piece. Here's one I made earlier to use in the moment.
Yeah, yeah, which I'm really, really loving. And I now have more time to do things that I didn't have time to do before, such as my vocal warm-ups before doing a live or a workshop, which I would never have had time before because I would have been worrying about the content so much.
Mhm.
It would have felt like, "No, you don't have time to do all of this." But actually having time to ground, be in presence, spend a bit of time on my voice so that I can deliver a more powerful experience for my participants is wonderful.
So, so good. Amazing. Is there anything, maybe you just shared it, but is there anything else perhaps that you might not have done without my guidance, the teachings in Story School, or the support of the others in the group?
Oh, mm. Yeah, I mean, I suppose just recapping on what I've just talked through, it's almost allowing yourself to step forward into the moment rather than stepping back is
Mm,
the piece that I feel you've taught and that the group supported me in doing. It's the more that it's, yeah, that fluttering in your heart that says, "Oh, I'm about to reveal something that could be really powerful." And before that would have been like, shut that down immediately. Obviously, I can't share that, And now it's actually that ability to open to that through the techniques that you teach us around the way in which you open, and we work into that grounding that we do. I love it when you do it. We ground down out of our heads and into our bodies. I do that every day now. I love it. You know, and recognizing when something's about to come that might be powerful and being able to open to it and take the risk to actually speak it
mm.
rather than going, that's the bit to shove to the side and pretend didn't just happen, and I'll do the people pleasing bit instead. I think, yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. That feels, I mean, in essence, that feels like it's it, right? For
Mm,
that feeling to become, instead of a sign that that's something not to share, a sign that this is the thing to step forward into, this is the thing to speak out loud.
yeah, yeah, no, absolutely.
Mm.
And it's just the process. It's the space that you hold and the process that we go through and the learn over time that that it's going to be accepted and received in
Yeah.
such a yeah, the group, the support of the group, I think, is so important with that. That once you've been heard in that way, why would you ever go back?
Yeah. And before you knew that that was even available, perhaps,
Mm.
or maybe it's something different, did you have any concerns about stepping into the container of Story School?
Yeah, no, I would think so. I think so, definitely. Those, am I ready for this? Is it the right step for me? Maybe who am I to have a story that's worth sharing? I think that came up a lot, and everybody else is going to have, they're going to have the powerful, profound story. I'm not going to have that thing to share. And, all of those thoughts are sort of running through my mind. What if I show up and it's supposed to be Story School and I don't have a story? That came up a lot. And obviously, the process that you go through of helping us to just turn off that questioning bit and just flow with it is so important for that. So, that was the cat just bumping the
I
computer.
love that your cat's getting involved.
She loves to get involved. Yeah, anytime, particularly people that she likes, she's like, "Oh, what's going on here?" But no, I was in support sometimes. I was singing yesterday. I was doing a story that included a song in it as well. It's one of the things that I do now too. And she came and she sang along through the song, and I had to leave it in the recording. And
Amazing.
everybody thought it was lovely. They loved it that my cat sang all the way through, like my song to the ancestors.
Oh,
But
the magical cat.
yeah, but again, those are risks that I don't think that I would have taken previously, to say, actually, you know what, in this story I feel as if I need to have this song that yeah, I'm just going to record it and play it part way through the story and see what happens. No,
Mm.
the permission to experiment.
Yes, permission to experiment, to play, to have so much more freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could go back now to that Maggie who was thinking, what if I don't have a story to tell? What would you say to her?
Oh. Well, when you said that at first, my first response was almost a flippant one of sort of saying, "Oh, don't be a fool," type of thing. But that's not what I would say to her. I think I would say there is a level of rootedness that you can achieve. That means that you will be able to reach so much higher than you thought that you could without feeling afraid of falling. Because you'll have that depth. And that's that sense of, you can't see what, I got my hand on my tummy at this point, that sort of sense of presence and center that then allows you to take those risks with words and performance and sharing the inspiration that's coming. I think that it would have been much more, I think, a sense of reassurance. And I wish that I could just share that feeling with her that I feel now. That's what I would love to be able to do, is to just have a step momentarily into this feeling of safe center.
Yeah, safe center. Well, thank you so much, Maggie, for first of all coming on the journey. Secondly, really diving into it, and thirdly, for all you've shared here today. If anyone is listening to you and is inspired by you and wants to, come hang out with you, how you've shared about your amazing work and the depth of your work, the magic of your work, where can people know you?
They can find me for my shamanic work. They can find me. My website is called Magin Rose. It's www.maginrose.com. I'm also on Facebook as Magin Rune Weaver. So I have runes and the Northern tradition with Magin Roses on Facebook, and I'm Maggie Rose Cunningham on LinkedIn for anybody who's more interested in the coaching, and consultancy side of my work.
Wonderful. I've got one more question, very specific to you, because you're already a storyteller, right? And I know that sort of half the people that tend to join Story School are in some shape or way already a storyteller, and others don't yet think they are. So what did Story School give you or teach you about storytelling that you didn't already know?
It taught me that The story isn't just a sequence of, of events that you sort of string together. I enjoy the intricacy of story. I like murder mysteries and those sorts of things, a plot.
Yeah.
It taught me that story is so much more. I think the performance element I hadn't considered as much. When we went through things like the senses of story, feeling into a moment in such depth, and then going deeper, and then going deeper still, it taught me the power of that type of storytelling,
Mm.
and how that can change the rhythm of your story through going from, and then this happened, and then this happened, into the experience of a single moment, and how powerful that can be. And the idea of fragments of story, which I think listening to a lot of the other people in the group, and hearing them and just connecting with them on such a profound level. I just thought, why do we go to coffee shops and things like that and talk to each other about the weather, and what's I want to hear. I even when we're speaking, I can think of some of the stories that were shared, that people shared in that moment, and you just go, I want to be in your universe. That ability to share the experience of existence was something that I had never appreciated. Certainly, it's something that I didn't think that I could bring. And I've just realized, yeah, it's so powerful. It's such a hugely important piece of the way that human beings connect with each other, or can connect with each other.
Yeah.
We should all be doing it. We should all be
I agree.
doing it.
Clearly. Well, thank you again for sharing so generously and wholeheartedly with us,
My
and for
pleasure.
all the beautiful work that you're doing in the world.